One heads to Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, but before we get into that, some announcements have actually come on through, and quite some big announcements actually. First of all, Sergio Perez has announced that he's going to be leaving Formula 1 at the end of the season. Sergio Perez says that he's just lost love with Formula 1, and it's quite clear that the sport is not for him, and he's going to be looking for other opportunities in different motorsport categories. Secondly, now this is a massive one here. Fernando Alonso has stated that he'd love to drive for Ferrari once again. Fernando Alonso, of course, left Formula 1 at the end of last season after a very strange and weird spell in a one season with Red Bull. But he says that he'd love to come back and he'd love to come to Ferrari once again. Now, obviously, with Hülkenberg and Rosberg having a lot of issues here and there, and they say that they fixed their relationship, will Ferrari let Alonso come back for another hurrah next season? Who knows? But it's a big one there. Next up, this is quite an interesting story actually. Now, Lewis Hamilton says that he misses the vibes that he got with Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton said in an exclusive interview that he was really kind of just a bit downbeat about the lack of energy and the positive vibes that Audi was showing compared to what they were at Mercedes. It just felt like when he was at Mercedes, it was genuinely his home. And at the moment, he just feels kind of a little bit homesick in a way. And he says that he just doesn't seem to get those vibes anymore. But maybe, he says, if time comes on by, he can potentially gain those vibes back. Finally, a little bit of a worrying one here for Red Bull, and they've had to make replacements to their front jacks after pit stop practice faults. Now, when they were doing the practice pit stops on Thursday, Red Bull were having a lot of problems with their front jacks. They kept on having a lot of glitches and a lot of faults with them, so they've had to go ahead and replace them heading into this Japanese Grand Prix because their pit stop practices haven't been going that well. Taking a look then at the practice pointers heading into the Japanese Grand Prix. Now, first of all, both Mercedes drivers are showing some very strong pace heading into this weekend. It's been very rare that we've seen Mercedes-Benz have very equal pace on the same track at the same time, but this weekend we're definitely seeing that. Both Reese and Tom say that the car is working brilliantly for them and that they're very happy to take the fight to McLaren and Sam this weekend. Although, do they have the pace to beat Sam? It seems like he was still faster than the pair of them in practice, but Mercedes are looking to try and give them that fight. Hülkenberg is also pleased with his car's balance. He believes that it's very much working in his favour and he could be potentially taking the fight to Audi and also Porsche. And Audi also believe this as well, as they think it's going to be hard to beat Ferrari. They're not discounting Nico Rosberg. They managed to beat Rosberg in practice. However, on this occasion, they felt like Rosberg may be doing a different practice program, which could be the potential reason why they were actually a little bit quicker on that time around. But without further ado, let's get into qualifying and the race for the Japanese Grand Prix. Hey, what's going on guys, it is Foxy298 here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here for round number 14, which is the Japanese Grand Prix, which of course is the second to last round, and this is where we can wrap up the World Drivers and Constructors Championship if things go our way, and that's what we're going to be hoping for here at Suzuka. And I was feeling pretty confident here at the Japanese Grand Prix. I wasn't normally not the best around here, but on this occasion, I felt pretty confident that the car that I had underneath me would be able to get the job done. Moving on then into our first and our banker lap there, and you can nearly see that we actually smashed into the wall there, but on our first flying lap, like, I really don't take it into consideration, this track evolution, my fuel load, my ERS management, all of that stuff here. My second lap I had to abandon it because I just wasn't going fast enough. On my third and final lap though, you can see that we're on board with it now, so this is pretty much just like my one chance to really put in a good qualifying lap. I was a little bit nervous about the car in front of me because they were quite close down. The exit at the first corner now, going for the S section. See, it wasn't the cleanest through the S section. I missed the apex slightly through there. Through here, probably clipped a bit too much curb in there, but it wasn't too bad. And then through here, not that bad at all either. Overall, pretty much a good S section, but this is where it went wrong here. I just caught the curb there on the Dunlop curb, and that just sent my car spinning around, losing the back end there, and that was my qualifying session over and done with. No way I can improve, and with 6 seconds to go, there was nothing I could do. So I retired from the session there, and that was qualifying done for me. I completely made the mistake myself, and yeah, a bit of an embarrassing mistake there, but like I said, if I didn't commit to that curb on the Dunlop curb, we would have been fine, and the rest of the lap, hopefully, would have been decent for myself, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So Sam gets pole position then, ahead of Reese, who was 2/10 behind in the end, ahead of George Russell, and then Hülkenberg, and then Lando Norris. For myself, though, it's only P16 on the grid, I think it was. Yeah, P16. We only got one lap in, and that was obviously my banker lap from the start of qualifying. And you know how much we can tend to improve on that. So Really disappointed to be down in P16, and it's unfortunately going to just be a compromised race. We're just going to try and get on with it, but we're going to start on the soft tires and go to the mediums. So let's see what we can do then as we get onto the grid now. We've got 5 red lights here to try and recover in this Japanese Grand Prix, and it's lights out. Here we go here. It's a good start from us initially there as we now have a look at the replay cam here, and it was a good start from pretty much everyone actually. George Russell there got a very nice start off the line there, but he's going to get blocked off by Reese in towards the first corner. As we have a look now, scrolling through and seeing who's got what there. Reese there defends nicely from George Russell as we now go on board there with myself, who's being attacked by one of the Lamborghini cars there, and now we're just trying to find our way through as we get horrible understeer then through the S section. You can see that we nearly lose the car there onto the grass, and already struggling in this early phase of the race to get a feel for the car, get the grip in there on these soft tires with the heavy fuel loads in this S section. You can see that we just have to manage the car slightly, and as we blast our way through the Dunlop curb that time around, we got it correct. And as we go in towards the first of the I can't remember what the Degner, there we go, it would come to me at some point, the Degner corners there, we now get on with it as we go up towards the hairpin corner now, in a prime position to make a couple of overtakes here, which is exactly what we're going to do. We go down the inside of one of the Porsche cars, one of the Lamborghini cars, the back end steps out there a little bit, and we have to slot in behind one of the Renault cars. I think that's Ocon in front of us, so honestly not a bad start from us actually. We got a couple of places, and now we just need to be patient in this Grand Prix. Like I said, unfortunately we have to run a compromised Grand Prix because of the fact that we've lost out in qualifying, but that's our mistake. We made a mistake in qualifying. Now we've got to try and make up for it here as we're on the back of Ocon now for 12th place overall in this Grand Prix now, and we shift up in towards 130R we go, and then heading in towards chicane. One of the Porsche cars, one of the Ferrari cars there. Oh, that's some contact. That's a Ferrari car. That's going straight into the wall there and towards a 130R. The safety car gets deployed instantaneously for that one there, and that's a horrible crash there for Nico Rosberg, I think it was, in the Ferrari, and that's a big accident there, and Verstappen there gets away unscathed. We're going to have a look at it now, a replay here then, as they go in towards 130R, contact right by there is made. That sends Rosberg flying off into the wall, and there was another car in the wall there in the background. There was another car that went into the wall, and we just got the overtake done on Ocon before that safety car came out, so really lucky there. We have a look in slow motion again here now. Let's get a replay of this one. So Rosberg, oh, this one's not in slow motion. Yeah, it's just contact looking to 130R, loses the back end of the car, can't correct it in time, and there was another car in the background that also went off in all of that. And as we go through now and we speed it up a little bit, you can see here as they go on through, just a gentle tap there with Nico Rosberg. That's so unfortunate through 130R, and as you can see this slowly just flies away, and it's the other Porsche car in the background there who's gone into the one of the, I think it's the Jaguar car, has gone into the back there. So Charles Leclerc has gone into the wall as well. So both Rosberg and Charles Leclerc did retire from the Grand Prix. Honestly, I actually had no idea that Charles Leclerc went into the wall. I thought he'd DNF because of an engine failure or something, but it was because he went into the wall there, which is a bit of a shock. But the safety car's coming in at the end of lap 3 now to start lap 4 of this Grand Prix, and it's bunched the whole pack up for us, which is alright, but we need to get on with it. Slow getaway, though, from the start. However, for someone else, though, there is a different Mercedes man on fire. Here comes Sam now down the straight, but Reese, all of a sudden, is going to come out of nowhere. He's been quite quiet a lot of the times this season, but in towards the first corner now. Reese and Sam go head-to-head here, and I think Reese might actually get this one done, and he does. Reese now goes side by side with Sam. Sam shoves Reese onto the grass, but Reese has absolutely none of it into the S section now. This is Reese and Sam really going for it here. This is the first time the two of them are scrapped for positions, and would you look at that, Reese has completely owned Sam there in the S section, and that was Reese showing great determination there all the way through, and he leads the Japanese Grand Prix. What a sensational bit of scrap in there from him as we now go back on board with us. We've actually lost a place to Ocon and all of that here. I was more focused on the fight at the front in terms of the replay cameras, but we did lose a position to Esteban Ocon, and now I'm going to have to gain it back again. Slow restart for myself, down the inside in towards the hairpin there, make that move stick, and we're back up into 12th place, I think it is, of this Grand Prix, but not the restart I wanted. I want to be right on the back of Verstappen there, but I'm not. I had to try and gain some places back. Meanwhile, looking at the front once again, you can see here, look, Reese doing a stellar job, and he's already off into the distance now, and Sam pretty probably has been completely flustered by that, and for the first time, obviously, Sam and Reese are now going to go into combat and try and do things. I've had some great scraps with Sam this season. I haven't really had many with Reese. In fact, both me. Oh, that's a crash there for Verline. He goes into the wall. Same spot that Charles Leclerc's done it in. That's an engine failure for Ocon in the background as well. It's all kicking off here at the start of the Japanese Grand Prix. Ocon's out. Verline's out as well. He's gone into the side of one of the cars there, and that's an awful one here as Sam now goes onto the back of Reese here. DRS is not enabled just yet, though, as we're not past the 2 laps from the the first safety car, and Reese there, shoving Sam out wide on the exit of turn 1, holds the position and keeps the lead going into the S section once again, and Reese doing a sensational job of holding off Sam, and here comes Sam once again now with the straight line speed of the McLaren coming into his favour now. The Japanese crowd loving this one here as we go in towards the first corner. Sam fakes the outside, fakes the inside here, but he can't find a way past Reese yet, and this is brilliant for myself because if I've got full pace, this is my time to start using it, and it means you could see the queue there. Sam is not pulling away. We normally see if Sam gets into the lead in the Grand Prix, he's off into the distance, but there's not really a big gap, so I'm still in this race, but I know that with Reese still leading, gotta make some moves. We go down the inside of Verstappen now into 9th place now in the Grand Prix, slowly but surely as their super soft tyres wear out. That's when mine come into play here. Next up the road is Daniel Ricciardo on to lap 7 of the Grand Prix. That's when we're going to get onto the back of him now as we go in towards the Degners once again, towards the hairpin. The hairpin is now becoming my new favourite spot to make some overtakes, and as you can see now, we're going to go towards the inside line, super late on the brakes here, but in the hairpin, this hairpin in Japan is just so easy to make overtakes on the AIs. It's quite ridiculous actually how easily you can get them done, but you can. So on that occasion we did. Next up the road is Sebastian Vettel now, and as you can see onto lap 8 of the Grand Prix, a lot of drivers making their first stops in the race. Russell, Sam and Reese not making their stops just yet as we now close up onto the back of Vettel here. Had a look in towards the hairpin here. Vettel left the space there, but I actually broke a little too early in there. If I really outbroke myself, I could have dove past Sebastian Vettel quite easily. Meanwhile, back at the front though, here comes Sam and Reese now, 130R this time. They're going to make things stick here. A little bit of contact there between Reese and Sam as they go in towards the chicane now, and I think Reese is going to hold this position off still from Sam. He's really struggling here to find a way past my teammate Reese in this Grand Prix, and Reese is really starting to show what could have been if he just had a cleaner season for himself. As we now open up the DRS here for Sam's perspective now. Reese goes to the outside line, Sam goes to the inside line here. This is a move for Sam, but Reese, where did that come from? He just breezed through turn 1 around the outside, not giving this one up without a real fight here, and he still holds on to P1. Epic stuff here as Russell holds on in behind and just has to wait a little bit longer. But now we have a look here at Sam now passing one of the Jaguar cars. He's now made his first stop onto a set of the medium compound tyres. Russell is a little bit behind this lot. Reese actually stayed out for a little bit longer, so Reese doing a different strategy there as there's some side-by-side action here between one of the Ferrari cars, I think it is. I think it's Hulkenberg who's on the soft tyres. Yeah, it is. It's Hulkenberg. And then George Russell has lost a couple of places in all of that there. So, yeah, not the best stuff there for Hulkenberg, but we go back on board now. Reese has come out of the pits here, and now Sam is onto the back of him with a fresh set of those medium compound tyres. Reese's tyres a little bit cold in this stage. Sam, as you can see now, in towards 130R. This time now, he finally gets the move on Reese. It took him about 13 laps to get that move done, but Sam finally, after 13 laps of a hard storm defence by Reese, he gets the position done, and that is his now into the race lead. And obviously, it was quite clear there that he'd really turned up the motor. Reese now with some DRS though. Can he come back at Sam in towards the first corner? This would be great if he could. It would really help me out in this race, but unfortunately it's not enough. Reese very close there, but it's not going to work for him. On to lap 12 of the Grand Prix though, and you can see that we're coming in for our one and only stop of the Grand Prix now. It appears obviously everyone on the super soft tyres were able to get to the mediums. I probably should have done soft to super soft, but I don't think the soft tyres were really working out for me in this race, which is again frustrating because if I was on those super soft tyres and further up the grid, you never know. I think I probably may have been able to put a challenge to these front guys, but it depends on the second stint now. I don't know how it's going to pan out here, but as we come into the pits now, we're going to rejoin probably in about 4th or 5th place here. We've gone long in our first stint, but overall the pace was really, really good. Really happy with the car and the balance, and yeah, that's all I could really ask for. There goes, I think that's Sam, and there goes Reese there, so they're still going through quite nicely, so we could be in a net P3 in this race. I think that's Hulkenberg actually who goes through there. However, Hulkenberg is on a set of the soft tyres and he's still yet to stop in this Grand Prix, so we've rejoined in 4th place now in this Grand Prix, and all we got to do now is just try and catch up to the back of them and just see where we end up in the Grand Prix after that. And yeah, you can see now here we have a little bit of a couple of replays here from a couple of fights going on further back here. We've got one of the Audi cars. I think it's Sebastian Vettel there who makes his move then on one of the Jaguar cars, and that's another Red Bull then coming into onto the back of the Jaguar now to try and make the position in towards the chicane. Now there's a lock up there from, I think it was the Red Bull of Russell, and you can see, is it George Russell that's there? Yeah, it is. It's George Russell. He's really not having the best time trying to get through the traffic here, and now with the lock up from the Jaguar car, he's under pressure here from one of the Porsche cars of Verstappen, I think this is, as they breeze it down in towards towards turn 1. That Porsche car is just much faster in a straight line than the Red Bull, and it's quite an easy overtake in the end, and he gets on with it. But George Russell, though, is not going to give this one up without a fight, and he's going to come back at the Porsche car now as they go in towards 130R. This is where he could potentially make the move in towards chicane. He's got a good slipstream here. Might dive it to the inside, but the Porsche car defends quite nicely there of Verstappen. And in towards chicane now. Max is actually on the soft tyres here, so doing a different strategy to what George is doing. So I presume Max will come into the pits very, very soon. But at the time being, he's continuing on his way as George Russell now opens up the DRS here, and he's now going to go and get that run in towards the first corner. Here comes Russell now. Verstappen has to go defensive. He goes one way, he goes the other way in towards the first corner now. George Russell, no, he doesn't make it stick. So George is stuck behind Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix. But speaking of our Grand Prix, nothing actually happened for the rest of the race, and that does mean then, as we come through 130R, Sam is going to go ahead and win the Japanese Grand Prix, sets the new fastest lap in the process. We've closed up to the back of Reese, but it's not going to be enough on this occasion. But no matter what, with the way the championship works out, we're going to come through to cross the line to win the World Drivers' Championship after an epic season battle with Sam. The gap will be 36 points, and we'll show that at the end. Mathematically, Sam can no longer win the World Championship, and it's a great race, a great recovery, and a great result for Mercedes-Benz. As you can see there, Sam wins the Grand Prix ahead of Reese, who put up a great fight against Sam. We managed to finish in P3, fantastic recovery drive. What could have been if we didn't have a poor qualifying, who knows? But yeah, that is it. We have wrapped up the World Drivers and Constructors Championship. Let's go have a look at those two tables, and we'll show you it's all been wrapped up, and that means Belgium is free game for anyone. So here it is then. It is the Drivers' Championship, and as you can see, with 240 points to my name and 204 points to Sam's name, that is the Drivers' Championship done and dusted. 36 points now is the gap between myself and Sam, and with only 25 points left on offer for the final race in Belgium, it is now impossible mathematically for Sam to win the championship. And yeah, really, really happy to win that championship. But of course, the story is going to be what could have been if the reliability was there for Sam this year. It definitely would have been a different story. Pascal Wehrlein is third in the championship on 138 points, but his championship battle for P3 is not over just yet, as Reese on 120 points with a great P2 today is definitely in contention on that front. George Russell is on 111 points as he continues his resurgence this season, with Vettel now dropping down the order on 103 points, and Lando Norris is on 99 points with Lewis Hamilton on 90 points. Charles Leclerc remains on 72 points, and Hülkenberg climbs up a little bit closer to Charles Leclerc, who is on 52 points. And yeah, that is the championship standings after Japan. And finally, in the Constructors' Championship for today, Mercedes are on 359 points, and that also wraps up the Constructors' Championship with 56 points in the gap difference between Mercedes and McLaren. McLaren with 43 points maximum they can get, no longer can beat Mercedes for the championship. And it'll be the first time in the F1 Journey Series that Ferrari have not won the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari have won the first two Constructors' Championships. Mercedes, however, this time around have taken it. Red Bull are on 239 points and have pretty much cemented themselves, I think, as third in the championship. Audi definitely now finishing in P4, with Porsche in 5th, Ferrari in 6th, Renault in 7th on 52 points, Jaguar on 47, Lamborghini on 21, and BMW with nothing. And with that then, let's get into the post-race notebook. Let's see what the teams and the drivers had to say, and that is this episode done and dusted. Taking a look then at the post-race notebook, and it's all about Mercedes and their double World Championship victories. First of all, Tom has dedicated the championship win to Mercedes-Benz. He believes that if Mercedes didn't build a car that was not only competitive, but also extremely reliable, then they had absolutely no chance of winning the championship. With that being said, though, he says that if they are to compete next year, Mercedes, they really need to ramp up the performance, because overall, he said that if it wasn't for McLaren's unreliability, they would have absolutely battered the competition this season. Mercedes believe this year was their toughest win yet. They do believe that despite the fact that McLaren had the fastest car, again, it was the reliability factor, and it was such a tough year for them. They had to work so hard and push the car so much and take completely different upgrade routes that it was very, very critical that they won the championship, and they were delighted to do so. And Toto Wolff has praised both Reese and Tom for their epic performances this year. Tom for winning the World Drivers' Championship, Reese for his first season in Formula 1 to do such a great job for Mercedes. Mercedes after having to take a lot of upgrade path changes, which just didn't suit him in the end. And also, like, again, what was said, the reliability of the car. It was so reliable that Mercedes were just able to just continuously just take those points and take advantage when McLaren faltered. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for the F1 Journey round number 14 for the Japanese Grand Prix. The next episode is going to be the finale at Belgium, where it's going to be all guns blazing. Everyone's going to be going for it, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys for that episode. So take care all.